All right, I'll start. So, hello everyone. I'll give a quick and brief introduction about Chemnier Society. So, Chemnier Society is a student body aiming to promote intellectual, academic, and cultural activities among students of chemical engineering, both UG as well as PG. It helps them foster their overall development as well. Chemnier Society encourages students to connect with seniors, batchmates, faculties, and alumni through many events, sessions, and workshops. Today, we are back with another interactive, insightful, and guidance session for Y20 students who will be sitting for the internship soon, in about a month. This is a session on non-core internships given by our seniors so that you can prepare well and go and get the best internships. We have today with us first Ashwini Kumar Srivastav, who is an SD intern at Oracle. He'll tell us about software development and coding profiles. Next, we have Anmol Agarwal, who is a data science intern at Abinbev. He'll elaborate more on the data science profiles. Next, we have Shashikala Patel, who is a consulting intern at PwC currently. She'll elaborate more on the consulting roles. This is a great time for students with the upcoming Bain internships for the first time. All right. Fourth, last but definitely not the least, we have Shernil Bhuyan, who is currently working as a quantitative analyst at Barclays. He'll explain more about controls. So without further delays, let's get started. In case you have any questions, kindly put them in the chat box. In the end, if we have time, you can ask them verbally as well. Let's start with you, Ashwini. I suppose you can share your screen.
Yeah, I'm just sharing.
Oh, okay. Combined, nice.
Yeah, so I think I should start first because that's how we planned. So hello everyone, my name is Anmol Agarwal. I am a Y19 UG, currently doing data scientist intern at ABI, Bev. So yeah, so let me just give you a brief background on how what all things are there in this profile. So first of all, what is meant by data scientist? What does he do? So basically, data scientist is someone who actually solves a problem using machine learning and deep learning techniques for the firms, and by analyzing the data, by data engineering, by feature engineering, and by data visualization, he actually provides some useful insights about the business, and then he solves a problem with the help of ML techniques. So yeah, so that was like what is a data scientist. Also, knowledge of ML is necessary to crack any interview of a data scientist related role, and things like aptitude, logical reasoning must be strong. That is expected from the candidate. Okay, and if you don't have any coding skills at any hi-fi coding skills, that would be not required by the firm. Medium coding skills would do the job. They don't expect you to be a pro or master, grandmaster on international master on Codeforces or CodeChef or things like that. It's just that should know the basics of DSA. Also, props and stats is an integral part of data scientist role, and it can be asked. It depends on the company as well as on the interviewer who is interviewing the candidate. Also, now I should elaborate on the difference between these three words: data analyst. What does mean by a data scientist, and what is the difference between these three? That data engineer. So basically, data analyst is the one who deals with SQL databases, and he deals with the programming and DSL. So that is more on the side of web development, but he actually manipulates the data and provides useful insights. Data scientists actually takes insights from the data analyst and applies some ML techniques to, you can say, predict something and provide some result to the firm. And data engineer is basically a fusion of these two profiles. It is like data engineer is the one who who actually coordinates with data analyst and data scientist and brings out the best of them. So that was the difference between these three. Now, like currently I'm doing an intern at ABI. So my intern project is basically related to um, finding duplicate invoices in the financial transactions. So let's say there is a vendor who sends me duplicate invoices. I am a firm and he sends me duplicate invoices. So how to track them? Like first of all, there will be a original document, original invoice, and that will be like posted multiple of times in the system. So just to track that with the help of ML is my project. So moving forward, what is the selection criteria or selection procedure at ABI? First, the first round begins with the technical test. It consists of two sections. The first one is the logical reasoning part, which consists about 15 to 20 questions, and that is expected in half an hour or maybe 25 minutes. Those are basically on a tougher side because your mental ability and logical reasoning is tested. But yeah, there is a second section as well, that is the coding section. 2 to 3 questions may be asked in a span of 25 to 30 minutes. So let me just warn you, don't be, let me just say that that time limit is enough for 2 to 3 questions, because those 2 to 3 questions are just to test your ability that whether you understand the basics of BSA or not. So these are not like hi-fi questions. These are just the normal level questions, and you can easily crack them by like reading some articles and maybe practicing some DSA questions on various sites that I'll be discussing later on. So following this round, there will be a group discussion of 30 to 40 minutes on a given specific topic. A particular group is asked to discuss a topic on which they are like so all the members put their views on how the session should go on, and that is like a general discussion, and everyone puts their views about the topic, and they come to a conclusion finally in 30 to 40 minutes, and then that is actually a verbal testing session. Also, following this, there will be a final technical plus HR interview. So I would suggest that resume is the basic, you can say, is the basic document that you will be tested upon in this round, and you will be giving like answers like what you did in your projects, what you did in your PORs, and things like that. So kindly prepare this technical round, technical plus HR interview round by you can say brainstorming your resume well. By you maybe you should be able to defend your resume very well, and prepare some HR answers as well, like why do you want to join this role only, why do you want to work for this firm, what is the company doing, and things like that. So yeah, coming to the resources part, for the ML, that is like the base thing to learn for this role. Andrew NG on Coursera is the prime thing to be learned. Also, there are courses on Udemy and Udacity. I have put the links over there for your reference. Also, like for DSA and coding, you can go to interview bit, because like only a month is left before the intern session starts, intern season starts. So yeah, so interview bit, I guess is best suited because it kind of covers every topic in less number of questions, and you will be able to complete it before the intern season starts. Lead code is better, but it requires too much amount of time to cover, and that's why I would not suggest that you should go on to lead code for data science, preparing for data science profile. You should go to interview bit and practice questions from there. Also, there are platforms like Codeforces and Codechef, which will prepare your mindset on how to like give the question, tackle the questions in a limited amount of time. So yeah, then there are links of aptitude and puzzles, Brainsteller, and this is the Pariksha app. These two are like the fundamentals which needs to be covered at any cost before the interview. And probability and statistics. So MSO and HSO slides, like there is a, these two are the courses which are like dealing with probability and statistics. So you can refer those slides. I have put a link over there. And 50 challenging problems in probability, that is book available on net for free, and you can download it and practice questions from there. So some general suggestions from my side would be like, you don't focus, if you are preparing for data scientist profile, don't focus on code forces and code chef rating at all, because they won't be asking you that in the interview. Even they can ask you that why do you want to pursue this data scientist, because you are doing DSA part as well. So you have to be prepared with that. Also, general aptitude, as I previously said, general aptitude and logical reasoning is it's expected and it is a must. Medium coding skills, as I said, would do it. Machine learning, no Python or language preference as such is there. You can code it in any language. And this is the most you can say fundamental part. There should be an ML project in your resume that you can explain to the interviewers, so that they something have to ask you that what are your knowledge in the domain of ML, so that they can better understand that how you can tackle all the problems, or how well do you know the ML algorithms. It can be a self project as well, it doesn't matter as long as you have understood the concepts well. Also, you should have the ability of defending your resume well. uh, Also practice some GD sessions among your friends or batchmates, and prepare some HR questions as well, because if you give some absurd answers, then there is a chance of elimination in the HR round as well. Also, last but not the least, get your resumes reviewed from seniors before submitting it finally to the SPO mail to the SPO portal, so that there is no discrepancy at the time of you can say final interview. So these are some of the relevant firms which come to our intern season every year, and they offer as a data scientist role. So yeah, so now I would like to invite Ashwini to explain and give some insights on software development.
Yeah. So hello everyone. I'm Ashwini Shrivastava, and I am currently working as an SG intern at Oracle. So first of all, let's discuss that what the software development tool is. So software development is basically a quite a broad role, and it contains many tasks. So for example, you start from analyzing, designing, developing, testing each of the softwares, and further many domains such as app development, web development also comes under this domain. Okay. So first of all, let's see which firms approach us in the last intern season for offering the software rules. Anmol, next slide, please. Yeah, so these are some of the firms. You might have been known some of these. So these are the firms which have come during our time to offer the rules for SD. Now let's get back to the previous slide. So the process is simple. What these firms expect from your side is the problem solving skills. Yeah, no, previous slide. Yeah, so what are the expectations they expect you from you? The good problem solving skills, the like in what way you approach some problem and in what way you counter that. Do you care about the edge cases or not? All these things while you paying attention. Further, they also might have a check on that whether you have some experience or not. However, this experience is not necessary. It is good to have this experience. However, firms do not have some strict criteria that you must have something, because they can discuss upon their problem solving skills in the form of DSA as well in the further rounds. So we can look at that later on. So let's review the process and we'll move on. Yeah. So has the selection procedure. So selection is mainly divided into three parts. So first is the technical round. Technical round is basically a coding test which consists of 2 to 3 questions in general. The questions are based on DSA, which usually tests your data structures alongside your problem solving skills, that how you formulate the problem, how you approach the problem, how you optimize for some cases or not. And for some rounds, some firms might ask aptitude, but in general, it is not the trend. However, the second stage, so when you clear the technical round, you enter into the technical interview. So firms usually organize 2 to 3 technical interviews depending on the company which you have applied for. So these interviews are mainly moving around your resume. They will ask you about some of the problem solving questions that are again DSA based. They might also ask you about everything which you have mentioned in your resume. So prepare your resume well. Either it can be a project, it can be internship, it can be some other stuff that you might have mentioned in your resume. Okay. Apart from that, aptitude and puzzles can be asked. It is not certain, so it depends from company to company. However, in general, puzzles are not asked, so probability based puzzles are not asked, but it is better to get prepared for those. Few firms can have HR interview, so it again depends on the company, and these mainly discusses the HR based questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years, and why you want to join their company. So these kinds of questions. But I do say that if your firm in which you are applying has an HR interview, don't let it slip off just by seeing that they might not ask something technical and you will clear just by answering in some way the HR interview. It is good to know that how, in what way we have to answer these kinds of questions so that it can be better for your preparation. Okay, so next one. Yeah, so here's the resources and keys to master. So DSA practice is must, and I should say that if you have any kind of doubt in your mind that your DSA is not good, then I would suggest you to practice DSA first, because DSA is the most priority wise, because obviously you will encounter with the projects in the technical round, and if the DSA round wasn't cleared up, the technical round wasn't cleared up, then you will not approach the technical interview where the questions will be asked based on your project. So if you have a choice, go with the DSA. If you are well comfortable with the DSA, then you can focus more on developing your projects. So rather than increasing the number of projects, I should say the quality of projects matter. Alongside, as I have already mentioned, that aptitude and puzzles can be asked, so you can look upon that. So for DSA practice, I would suggest a few important topics which most of the companies ask. So dynamic programming is a pretty important topic. So if you have any kind of issue with that, kindly try to clear it with the starting of the intern season before the start. And you can also focus on graphs, but basically BFS, TFS are suffice in general. And then you can look through trees and some basic questions on strings and all. So these are the topics which you can focus on somewhat more. And as I have already said, that projects and internships are not necessary. These are totally dependent. So it's not like that you don't have prior experience, then company will not take you. It is completely a myth. So don't fall in such myths and be confident. Okay. So let's move on. Yeah. So here's the general advice. So as I have already mentioned, it is being redundant, but obviously your first priority should be to make your DSA strong, because it will be asked in the technical round, in the technical interview as well. Okay, then prepare your resumes for well, be confident on your skills and take feedback. So this is also the quite important aspect, and the essence is coding thorough. So that's all. Now I would like to hand over the mic to Shashikala.
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Very less actually. Could you speak louder or maybe hold the microphone better, closer?
Is it better now in any case?
Yeah.
Yes, better, better.
All right, cool. So hi everyone, hope everyone is having a good weekend and everyone is at par with their internship preparation. So I'm currently interning at PwC India, which is a US advisory as a management consultant role. And it's been a 1 month at PwC, and it's been a great experience, great learning curve. So yes, first of all, I'll be proceeding with what actually consulting is I'll give a basic background, then followed by what was my selection procedure, then resources, and then some things around companies and the firms. So basically, consulting has a picture of having a glamorous life, right? Higher pay, flamboyant experience, higher premium hotels. You get to travel across world, exotic places, making strategies in a big consulting room or a boardroom with many people from prestigious college and etc. etc. So these are all like very high pros, but you have to pay a high price also for these high pros. So not going deeper into that, but yes, you do get a great learning curve over here. I'll just talk about pros here and not the cons. I hope that you people experience the con also, but while doing an internship at consulting. So just discussing about the pros thing. First of all, you have a great learning curve. You go and do projects in different sectors, and you are thrown into projects that you do not have idea of, but you end up mastering over it. So there's a great learning curve. Secondly, you become a better problem solver. You are thrown on a project, you first build out strategy, you connect with different people, work on different strategies. Some strategies do not work out, then you reiterate and work on strategies. So that's how you become a better problem solver. Third is incredible networking. You get access to class networking. Like at PwC, we have people and interns from prestigious colleges such as IM, and some from ISB also, some from international business colleges also. So you get to network a lot with people. Fourth is the industry-wide knowledge. As I said in my first point, that you get a great learning curve because you learn and through different projects in different industries. So you get a hold of all industry-wide knowledges, from telecom sector to health sector to even fashion industries. Next point is great exit options. So while you exit or quit consulting, you have great options lying beyond you. First is like you can go into venture capital. You can even start your own venture because you have incredible networking, which is the third point. Last is easy access to capital. So down the line, if you imagine or if you aim to work or build something of your own, investors will somehow trust with giving you capital because you come or have a great experience in the consulting firm, and that too, if you have a top-notch experience in the great consulting firm, which is like NPV. So moving next. Yeah, so selection process. I'll be telling about my selection process at PwC, which I had through SPO. MBB also have the same procedure, most likely. So first is resume selection. So this is the greatest bottleneck which you have to overcome. Rest, technical interviews and HR interviews, a slide becomes easy, but the resume selection is the major thing. Like if you do not, like you have to spend ample amount of time towards your resume, even more than preparing for your technical interviews, because that's the first bottleneck that you have to clear. And you have to sell off yourself through resume. You have to market yourself through your resume. What actually things that you need to reflect in your resume is, first thing, that you have to show your agility. Agility, by agility, I mean that you have to showcase your skills in such a way that the interviewer gets a hang of it, that even if you're thrown into a new project which you have no clue about it, you will learn within a week and you will be able to deliver it. Because in consulting, you never know what the project is lying above. Like there can be telecom industry project, there can be health related project, there can be tech related project, anything can be the project. They won't be looking for an expertise in a single particular industry. And as being like you, since you are being at the starting of your stage of a corporate career, so they won't be expecting that you have the knowledge of every industry, but they would expect you that you could learn fast, you could deliver fast. So yes, agility is one of the most important skills, which is why have your resume such that you represent that you have diverse experience. Like you have some PORs on your hand, you have done some basic internships, right? If possible, like in second year, after the end of second year, no one expects that you have an internship experience, but it gives you an edge. Then projects also. Project is the must thing, because in internship or at your like beginning of the consulting, you even in any company, you do projects. So if you have projects and decent projects, it will give you definitely an edge. So projects, decent CPI, then internship experience, then POR. These are the things. Specifically for MBB, if you are asking, since Bain has recently come for the first time for the industry for the internship, so MBB looks for 3 peaks. Like for example, one of the peak could be your very high CPI. Very high CPI could be 9 plus CPI. They shortlist even 8 plus CPI, but they'll consider it as a peak if you have 9 plus CPI. Then second, if you have done a very good internship, like class internship, some at very big firm, like you can say like Uber or something like these kind of internships is considered as a second peak. In second year, I can say like after ending your second year internship, second year. And third could be like if you have won something like, for example, in extraordinarily achieved in extracurricular activities such as getting a gold medal in some inter IIT competition or in sports, then they'll consider it as a peak. So 3 peaks are very necessary for getting shortlisted in MBB. And other than that, if there's other consulting firms, then you need to just show that you are very diverse. Like you have PR, you have tried, you have been good at clubs, you have done projects, you are also decent with academics. So that is like selling off your resume. And I would suggest that work on your resume very diligently, because resume selection is the key to get into the firm. Technical interviews, HR interviews could be done, could be prepared in like just 1 week, but resume, give it time, go through iterations, know how to present it, right? And next, coming to technical interviews. So I had 2 technical interviews. In my first technical interview, I was asked case study and guesstimates. How to prepare about case study and guesstimates, I'll be telling you in the next slide. Second is like in second technical interview, I was grilled on my resume. So once you prepare your resume and once you get shortlisted, then study your resume well through, because I was grilled for 30 minutes. Like you should know your resume really well. You shouldn't get like stuck on something, on a question that they have asked you from your resume. Because if you get stuck, that will play a very major negative point through your interview selection. And I know that people do exaggerate in their resume a lot, but then after exaggerating it, learn how to defend yourself, right? Everyone does that exaggeration and everyone needs to do the exaggeration to reach or to clear out the interview process, but learn to defend it. Sit with your resume, think for 1-2 hours, like what questions could come up. Have a 360-degree review of your resume, show it to your friends, ask them that what questions could be thrown at you at your resume by going through your resume. So do not make any mistake with your resume. Regarding case study and guesstimate, I have written that you should have structure, clarity, and articulation that I'll cover in next set of slides. Third is HR interview. HR interview is pretty chill. Like, why do you want this company? Same as like Ashwini and Anmol has covered earlier in their tech slides. So it is like, why do you want this company? Where do you see yourself after 5 years? How this internship will help you in your future corporate experience or journey, something like that. So for this HR interview, I would just say one thing, that stalk the company very well. Like appreciate the company. Like if you are sitting for a PwC internship, learn about company, like what company is doing recently and what is the background, when what was it established, go through its Wikipedia. I went personally, like when I had my interviews, I did go through all of the PwC's recent news. Plus I also read their Wikipedia and I pulled out some facts and just praise the company a lot in HR interviews and you get through it. HR is not a big like bottleneck. What is the major bottleneck is the resume selection. Next slide, please. So resources. So preparing for consultancy role, there are not very much resources. You have to prepare it very smartly. You do not have to go like blindly to all the resources and gather all the informations. If you follow these 3 rules diligently, or especially first 2 pointers very diligently, you are well and good enough with the technical interviews. First is the Victor Chain case interview workshop. 12 videos on YouTube, go through it. Go through it diligently, make notes. And then this is the first thing. You are done. You will get a 360-degree perspective on how to solve the case interview, right? Second, if you want to practice, now after seeing the video, getting a hang of it, you have to practice. And that is Case Interview Cracked, which is, this is a book prepared by IIT Bombay alums who have a great exposure to McKinsey. They have worked in McKinsey Bay in Boston. So this book is written by them. Practice it. Do not read it. case, you will get a hang of, you will get good at case interviews only when you practice it. Reading it will not help in any case. And this book will suffice for guess estimate and case practice. This book is sufficient. Like I practiced it and I got a hang of it at very well. But even if you want to get more, if you want to practice more, then you can try McKinsey problem solving test practice. But the two above things are religious, has to be done religiously. Like if you're starting, so these two are most, but like make it the top priority. Right, then proceed with the like McKinsey problem solving test practice. But without these two, you will not be able to ace any case interview. Like, these are the basic fundamentals which you have to finish it. Now, my 2 cents is that prefer watching videos over reading cases. Like reading cases, again, I told you, it will not help you with like 1%. It could add on to your value, but if you want to be really good at it, just practice it. And then prefer practicing cases and peers over watching videos. So there are people who just binge watch case interviews and binge watch like 50 to 80. There are plenty of videos on YouTube. They just keep watching and they assume that they'll imbibe the skills, but that doesn't happen. Prefer practicing cases in peer, have small groups. If ANC is organizing GD, then go and attend that GD religiously, make connections over there and practice over weekends, right? So now there are people who practice 80 case interviews and then they get a hang of it. And there are people who just practice 4 cases and they are good with it. So just introspect and know that where you lie and how much cases you need to practice. You do not need to compare with your peers and you do not need to go hastily and just do as many cases as possible, like 100 cases. No need to do that. Do 1 case, then sit and just analyze for 1-2 hours at where you are lacking, what all points are lacking, and try to imbibe and improve in that case and on the next case practice. Like, do not try to make that mistakes that you have done on your first case practice. So that is how you'll improve. Don't rush, be patient, be calm, do cases, and plus analyze it. If you do a case and you do not analyze it, then it's a waste. Now, my extra cent is that apart from these resources, just keep yourself updated with industry news, because now, like what I got in my case interview at PwC was related to a credit card company, because I mentioned that I was a secchi at Finance Club. So that is where the first point comes at resume selection. So they gave me a case interview related to credit card business company because I mentioned finance, like I was the secchi of Finance Club. So they were expecting that I would have some decent knowledge of finance. Which is why, for example, if you mention entrepreneurship club, entrepreneurship cell, like you are a secchi of entrepreneurship cell, so they will ask you something related to startup, or they'll give you cases that is something related to startup. So make sure that you are updated with the industry news or something which is like, if you have mentioned any pure like this kind of, then make sure that you have basic knowledge of that POR. I know that people do not do any work or sometimes they do not do any work in that cell, but they do mention it. So it's completely fine, but just get to know that what that industry does. Like, for example, if you have mentioned finance, get a hang of finance. If you have an exposure to entrepreneurship, then know that what are the basic terms and like jargons that in entrepreneurship is used and what case studies can be given to you related to that cell. Okay, next slide, please. Last but not least, these are the firms, the big 3 or the MBB, the dream companies, which everyone aspires to get actually once to work in it, is like McKinsey and Company, Bain and Company, Boston Consulting Group. The big 4 is Deloitte, PwC India, KPMG, Ernst & Young. And others, there are a lot of good consulting companies, but I don't know why people do not know about it, but there are really good firms. These are Dalberg, LEK, or 30 Little, 80 Kenny. Samagra is very good consultant, government consultancy. They really have good projects in their hands. So you could try it on these firms also. So my stint would be that not many firms, consulting firms come to like SPO. So you do have to go like outside, or you have to look outside the SPO internship thing to get an internship at these firms. You can apply through their career websites. Right. Or just follow these companies diligently, so that in your Google feed, like I do follow these companies very closely. So now if there is any new hiring process, so in my Google feed, it automatically comes, the algo thing. So just follow these companies, what these companies are doing, go to their internship page for once, stop what are options available, so that in your Google feed, that when there is a new internship opportunity available in these firms, so it automatically comes in your Google feed. Otherwise, look thoroughly for these internships at these firms from outside, because there is very unlikely that these companies will come through SPO. I got lucky that PwC came through SPO, and this was the first time that any management consulting, like big management consulting, came to like SPO in internship season. So if you are very passionate about consulting and you want to have an experience and want to gain an internship, then do look outside also, like for a particular period of time, and look like proactively from the starting of December, because these companies open their internship, they roll out their internship opportunities near December or March, like they roll out mainly in December and March. So yes, this was a short background description. If any like questions, I'll take at the end of the session. So over to Shrenal.
Thank you, Kushikala. Hi everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Shanil.
Hi everyone. Myself Shreyanil, and I am currently doing quantitative analyst intern in Barclays. So let me tell you something background knowledge on quantitative analyst. So as you all of you know, quantitative analyst posts are generally opened by banks or trading firms. This quant analyst is different from normal analyst role, as Anmol is in, because in analyst role you are expected to use some technologies like ML and all, but in quant analyst you use statistical analysis, mathematical analysis for model development that will be used in real time trading. So that's why the name is quant analyst. Basically they prefer real mathematical model rather than some machine learning models. So you are expected to use mathematical and statistical knowledge. In quant analyst role, exceptional coding skill is not required. Just being analytical sound does the job. And as a part of my intern project, my work is on in making improvements in accuracy on previously designed models. So it's a quite interesting project, and it always feels good when you improve some accuracy. So this is some of the background regarding quantitative analyst role. Next slide, please. These are some of the firms that come to our college for this role: JP Morgan, World Fund, Nomura, Goldman, Barclays, and Edelweiss. As I say, they don't ask anything about competitive coding knowledge. You have to be good in analytics skills. Next slide. So in Barclays, the selection procedure was like this. They had a technical test and 2 rounds of interviews. In technical test, there were 2 parts. In first part, the questions were based on normal probability statistics, 12th standard probability, some higher level probability questions regarding expectation variance, like that. They had questions on data interpretation, and some questions regarding reasoning and aptitude. In second part, they asked some theoretical questions on finance, so to basically check your basic finance knowledge of basic finance knowledge regarding this part. So this was the technical test, and in interview there were 2 rounds. First round was technical, and second round was technical plus HR. In first round, they asked me some basic DSA questions, like very basic questions regarding time complexity and commonly used algorithms like sorting algorithms, searching algorithms, that kind of questions. So basic DSA questions you may expect in the interview. And we had a detailed discussion on projects that I have mentioned in my resume. They grilled me on that. They asked me about each and every point I mentioned in the resume. And most important part of the interview is probability puzzles. You always expect questions on probability puzzles in this kind of role. So Barclays also asked me, and there were some questions on 12 standard probability, conditional probability based theorem regarding that. And in second round, as I mentioned, it was a HR round, and they also ask guesstimates question. Guesstimate means some questions like this: estimate the amount of rice production in India for a week that you can expect. So they asked me questions on estimate. So this was basically the selection procedure. Next slide. So these are some of the resources I would recommend you for this role. So for basic DSA, as everyone mentioned, you have to do some coding work from interview bit, and Gigs for Gigs is also good. And for HR interview, if you can also refer to interview bit, I have provided the link. You may it has some of the common HR questions and good answers that can be helpful for you. And in for questions on probability and statistics, MSO and HSO course, like you don't have to do the course for that, just basic knowledge on distribution functions, expectations, variance, that is enough for the preparation. And for probability puzzles, you can refer to Brainsteller and Geeks for Geeks puzzles. So as I mentioned you, it's a must question in an interview, so you have to prepare for that. And there is a book called
It seems there's a problem in your net, Shrinil.
Hello.
It seemed there was a problem with your net. I think the electricity ran out or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Like, am I audible, right?
Yes, yes, you
There
are
is a
audible right
electricity.
now.
Yes,
You can
yes.
continue.
Yeah. So, for next slide, Anmol. Next slide.
I've changed the slide.
Okay. So these are some suggestions I would like to give you for quant profile related. Practice as much probability puzzles question as you can, because you will always expect questions on that. I would suggest try to complete the questions in Brainsteller 2 times at least. There are 100 questions, and try go through them 2 times. It will be really helpful. And again, they are not interested in the final answer. Walk them through the solution procedure. They want to judge your analytical skills. So it's important how you approach the solution, not the correct answer. So um, the, so do that thing in the interview. Third thing is basic DSA knowledge is necessary. As I mentioned, they will ask some common algorithms, some questions regarding time complexity. So that is a must. And revise the class 12 concept, as you can expect questions on conditional probability, Bayes theorem, like that. So and there must be a project on analysis, as the role is quant analyst, then you have to mention some projects on finance analysis or normal data analysis, that also works. So these are regarding some projects. So some of the general advice: you must have a project on your resume, because it provide you content to discuss in the interview, and give your insights, like you have worked on it, so you can defend any points you have on your resume, and it gives quite good impression on the interview. And second thing is, don't write any made up points in the interview, as everyone suggested. It would sound nice at the first go, but the interviewer will trap you easily with it. So it may be a backfiring decision. Don't try made up points. Try to add points on which you are 100% confident and you can defend them very well. So be extra careful with this. Next thing is, appear in at least one mock interview for the profiles you are applying for, because This will help you to get used to the interviewer environment beforehand, and secondly, you will get to know about the kinds of questions that are expected based on your projects and resume. In my case, I also gave one of the mock interview, and in that mock interview I couldn't answer quite well, but I got to know about the kinds of questions and prepared according to that, so it really helped. And this is another advice, like HR round is also important. Don't take it for granted. Your selection decision may depend on your performance in HR round, so prepare for it also. I have also provided you the link in the resources section, so prepare for the HR round also. And finally, don't get disappointed if your friends are getting selected and you are not. Just wait for your turn. Be patient and work hard. You will get selected in a good company if you have did your preparation very well. So be positive at that time. Don't overthink at that time at all. So these are the basic suggestions I wanted to give. That's all from my side. Any questions you have on any profile, we are ready to answer. Thank you.
You can ask by unmuting yourself as well, and through chat, any way you prefer. Everyone is there, right?
If you have any question, then you can ask. Right now, it's a great time to clear all your doubts. There is one question in the chat. Maybe someone can
Anmol and Shanil probably could answer.
Yeah. So am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Anmol.
Yeah. So like regarding the project part, you can mention any like any project in a resume as long as you have the knowledge of it. You can like if you are solving a problem, be confident about it, and just explain them that how you that what was the problem, what was the aim of that problem, that how you tackled the problem, how you tweaked your hyperparameters of the machine learning model, what was the final result, and basically what was the like what is the usage of that project in the real world. So yeah, so yes, you can mention the Kaggle projects.
Adding to Anmol's point, like you have to be clear on what metrics you have used. You should be able to explain them to interviewer regarding the metrics used, regarding the algorithms used. So try to understand why do you want to do that project. So it's really important. Interviewer might ask you that thing. So,
Yeah, like there should be a set story that you should present in the interview, and that should be logically good, so that the interview gets you can say impressed by your approach, and they only see your approach. So the accuracy numbers doesn't matter at all at the end. It's the approach they are looking for, and it's the basically the logic and the basically why you implemented this algorithm. That's the thing they are looking for.
So a common question that the people may ask, the recruiters may ask, is why did you use this particular algorithm? Why not something else? Why did you take this choice? Why not something else? These are some common questions. For example, Shanil told about metrics. So why such a metric? Why not something else? Why did you simply take accuracy? Why not F1 loss or something like that? They're totally different, but yes, why not that? So be prepared for such questions as well. Okay. We'll move on to the next question. What is the CPI criteria for these roles? I suppose one by one you can answer.
So I should start. So yeah, so there is a CPI criteria, like it's very general. It depends on firm. But if you are above 8 or let's say 8.5, then you are safe. Like you will be shortlisted to give the technical test. After that, it all depends on you in the data science profile, like how you give the coding round and how you clear the GD for like in ABI, there was GD, but in general, there is not such compulsion that there is a compulsory GD session in the data science profile. And the final interview, that how you crack. So yeah, that's the CPI criteria. If you are above 8.5, then feel free that you are safe. Feel free to believe that.
Yeah, hello. So, in general, it totally depends on firms which are offering. So they might shortlist on the basis of some criteria. To be precise, as Anmol have already said, it is safe to have 8 plus CPA, but uh, uh, only a few firms usually shortlist at such high CPI. In general, they will let you attempt their test on somewhat in the range of 7 to 8 as well. So do not worry too much about the CPA, just focus on your preparation.
Okay, I will go next. In quant role, in some it is also firm dependent, but they expect a CPI of 8.5. So if you are above 8.8 and 8.5, then it's good. You don't have to worry that much.
For consulting, it's very sort of not any harsh CPI criteria. It depends. If you have good projects, then they'll surpass you with a. If you even have not a decent CPI, but it's safe to keep it above 7. Below 7, it's hard to get a shortlist. For MBB, if you want to consider it as a peak, then keep it 9 plus. Then 9 plus is required. Rest for the companies, it totally depends on the diversity of your resume. But yes, if you are asking me for like if you want to know about like very harsh boundary, then it's 7. Keep it above 7.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. What level of expertise in coding or DSA is required? So I believe these were already answered during the talks that the speakers gave, but they could go through it once more very quickly.
Yeah, so you need not be quite proficient with DSA. So it's not like you have to be a grandmaster or quite a pro in the domain, but somewhat sincere knowledge of these data structures. You know how to implement, when to implement, how to optimize something. So these can help you in making up a good understanding and making the interviewer realize that you know some stuff. Further, I want to focus on one more thing, that how you approach the problem. I haven't discussed during the presentation. So first of all, when a problem is presented to you, do not jump to the answer directly. Try to ask the interviewer several questions about it, that what problem is about, and what can be the possible edge cases. If the problem behaves certainly in some different way on some cases, and what is the expected complexity, and what idea you are getting, what approach you are following. And one most important thing is that if you get stuck, do ask for hint. It is appreciated if you ask for hint, because the first of all, when you walk out through the process, that how you are approaching the problem, interviewer gets the chance to either correct you if you are going through in some other direction, and might provide you some hint alongside. So go through the process, ask for hint if you need any, and then try to approach the problem. Uh, you if you do this well enough, I think you should be fine.
Yeah. So for data science role, I think I've stated before in the slides as well. It's not a coding or you can say DSA intensive profile. You just need to understand the basics. You just need to know the basics. They'll ask you to 3 questions in a span of 25 to 30 minutes in the coding round. So you should be able to like solve all the questions, and then they will like only shortlist you. But that's not the only requirement, and it's not the major requirement that is required for the like data science role. So yeah, so you should know the basics only for the data science.
Sure. You can.
Yeah, in quant role, they don't have a technical round for the coding test. So, um, and they may ask some questions, some common questions that I have mentioned, time complexity related or normal algorithm related. So, coding skill is not that much required in quant role. So, don't have to worry that much about in quant role. So, yeah.
All right. We'll go to the next question. Are linked list, BS and BSTs, binary search trees, important during coding rounds?
Yeah, so in general, linked lists are not a quite not such kind of topic in which many firms will ask questions, but it is good to have your command on these topics as well, because if you are getting usually linked list questions are not too tough upon the logic. It basically checks that whether you have good knowledge of pointers and you assign values and pointers in some good way. So they basically test your implementation. So it's good to have knowledge about linked list. For BST, again, a fair amount of knowledge. Actually, you should know that how BST works and how to perform the fundamental operations. So that should be suffice in general.
Anmol and Shinil. So just a very quick answer.
Yeah, in analyst profile, they don't ask about anything, any linked list or binary search tree basis. So don't worry about that.
Cool. Anmol.
Yeah, I don't like think so that linked list is asked. BST can be asked, but like it would be a easy question if asked. And otherwise, like normal DSA questions that are based on arrays or maybe map set, that two very easy ones they ask.
All right. A quick question for Anmol and Shashikala. Are PORs must for consulting or data science roles?
Uh, I would like to take it first.
Yes.
So it's not necessary, as in if you like ask me if you do very really good projects. So it's like complementary of projects and POR are like complementary of each other. If you have really good projects, if you have 5 projects and no POR, it's fine. Like you still stand a good chance of getting shortlisted. But if you do not have like significant projects or very like good projects that have an impact, like that have created an impact, then in that case, POR should come to save you. So it's not necessary. If you really have good projects and you have done a significant, and that has created a significant impact, then there's no like worry of getting a POR. So it should just like like both of them should cover each other. If not POR, then projects. If not project, then PORs. But there is always like importance of project over PORs any day in any profile, I must say. Yeah. Over to you, Anmol.
Yeah, so I agree completely with Shashikala. Like in the data science profile as well, they are just looking for that how good you are at problem solving. So yeah, so PORs, if you mention them, it's good. They might ask you questions from there also. So be ready to defend those PORs that uh, what work did you do in your tenure. So yeah, so that's not an essential part in your selection. If you, even if there is no POR, there are high chances that if your projects are good in the most likely profile related, so you might get selected easily. if you explain them in detail that what work you perform.
All right. So the next question is for technical interview of software profile. Do they judge only on the basis of coding round or on both coding round plus CPI? Ashwini?
Yeah. So first of all, there's a shortlist. So once you get shortlisted, I think that CPI will not matter because all the shortlisted candidates will be equivalent for them. Because they have set some criteria that they will take the candidates above that. So mostly coding round will matter, but yeah, that is pretty much, I guess. They
So
perform well for that. Yeah.
again, the CPI questions came out. I would like to add something like you can't do anything about CPI right now. So don't think about it too much. Only work on your technical skills. And in non-core profiles, they don't expect a high CPI. So don't worry about it too much. You just be sound in your technical skills. So.
Good. There are no more questions at the moment. If the audience has any, kindly speak them out or write them out on chat. And if not, then we can end the session soon.
So like if you have any question, still you have some time. You can ask the questions directly by unmuting.